Council for Refugees, live with us here in studio. The Sri Lankan government maintains its Tamil population is not being persecuted, and Chitrangani Wagaswara is Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to Canada. She's live in the Ottawa studio this morning. Ms. Wagaswara, High Commissioner, good morning. Thanks for speaking to us.
Yes, good morning.
What do you think the Canadian government should do with these families?
Well, it is up to the Canadian government to deal with this issue now, because these people have arrived in Canada, and we leave it to the Canadian government to deal with it.
I thought I saw earlier you having said that the ship should be turned away.
Well, we have had discussions with the Canadian government for the last nearly 2.5 months, because there was information about this ship, the movement of this ship, which originated somewhere in Asia, and the Canadian government, the Sri Lanka government, as well as other governments in the region, have been aware of this human smuggling exercise. And now that the ship has arrived in Canada, it's up to the Canadian government to deal with this issue.
Why do you think they left Sri Lanka aboard what is essentially a cargo ship and undertook a journey that took several months long, maybe as long as 4 months? One of them died at sea. Why would they do that?
Well, the ship did not leave Sri Lanka. It left from around Thailand. And let me say, as I said earlier, this is a human smuggling operation, and it is people, we understand, and your Minister for Public Safety has also mentioned that some people have paid as much as 50,000 Canadian dollars.
Well, why are they doing that?
Well, it is as I have said earlier, this is linked to the Tamil Tiger movement, and this is a continuation of the operations, because earlier they were involved in extortion. Raise every Tamil family living in Canada and in other countries as well had to contribute to this movement to keep the war going. Now there is no war, but still the movement is intact.
How many of the people on board do you think are either Tigers or associated with the Tigers?
Well, that is difficult for me to say, but we know that, as I have been repeatedly saying, a considerable number are linked to this to the Tamil Tiger movement.
How do you know that?
Well, that is the information that we have.
Where does your information come from?
Well, there are ways and means of obtaining information.
But we were led to believe that you'd wiped out the Tamil Tiger movement at the end of the war.
Yes, that is our point. In Sri Lanka, the military has wiped out the Tamil Tiger movement in Sri Lanka. But
they're obviously still active, though.
Yes, in Sri Lanka, it is no longer there. For the last 1 year, there is total peace. There has not been a single terrorist attack in Sri Lanka. But they were able to continue because of the support that came from outside the country. The money as well as the arms and ammunition.
With respect, High Commissioner, your government does have a credibility issue here when it comes to treatment of the Tamil minority and the civil war. It's been next to impossible for any Western journalist to work in the Tamil areas of Sri Lanka. Tamil journalists like Lasantha Wakramatunga have wound up executed, more than a dozen of them, as a matter of fact. And your government has steadfastly refused all calls for independent investigations into alleged war crimes and human rights abuses. So how can we believe you?
You know, talking about journalists, there have been so many journalists that have gone up there. Even recently,
it's very difficult. I can tell you, as someone who's responsible for dispatching people out there, it's very, very difficult to get a journalist up there.
We don't accept that. Even BBC, Hard Talk, they ran a four-part program. Interviewing, they were free to go anywhere, interview anyone they wanted to.
Why can't there be an independent investigation into what happened during the war and to the human rights abuse violation allegations?
Well, there is already an investigation, which a commission of inquiry, which has been appointed, and they have now started working.
But not an independent one.
It is, well,
Not an international one. No delegation from the United Nations.
No, but this is Sri Lanka. We need to have our own commission of inquiry.
Yes, but you have a credibility problem.
Well, that is subjective. What we say is we have been dealing with this issue for so long, for nearly 30 years, and now it is up to Sri Lanka to get on with. The government of Sri Lanka has appointed this commission of inquiry. Then in the north and east, there are so many development projects that are going on for the Tamils, and the Tamils in Sri Lanka want to live and let live. Yes.
Chitrangani Wagaswara, thank you very much for speaking to us. We appreciate your time this morning.
You're welcome.
That's Chitrangani Wagaswara. She's Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to Canada. We did request an interview with Public Security Minister Vic Taves. He was unavailable this morning. You're listening to The Current on CBC Radio.